Ireland is now deporting drug traffickers and sex offenders, many of whom potentially originate from Nigeria and other African countries to our northern border, and dumping them right here in South Africa. Convicted criminals and people with fake South African passports are now being flown from Dublin to Johannesburg as we speak, and many of them have no real connection to South Africa whatsoever, apart from perhaps a fake passport issued by some corrupt Home Affairs official whom they bribed for it. And why are South African authorities even allowing these foreign nationals to be deported to our native soil? And why did these fraudulent migrants that go to Ireland choose South Africa as their supposed or fake country of origin? Why not any other country? Or why not their own country if they want to just migrate to Ireland? Why do they need to pretend to be South Africans? Well, stay tuned, because in today's video we are going to explain all of this and expose all of the shocking details of this massive fraudulent scheme that is basically being perpetrated by our Department of Home Affairs, but carried out by these criminals all over Europe. Earlier this week, Ireland deported 63 immigrants back to South Africa. According to media reports, these were 63 people identified as South African nationals, which consisted of 54 adults and 9 children. 10 of the people deported had also been convicted of serious criminal offences in Ireland, and in fact, according to the Irish officials, these deportations form part of 2 targeted operations by Irish immigration agencies. Operation Tara, which targets illegal aliens involved in drug trafficking, as well as Operation Moonreach, which specifically targets illegal aliens who are sex offenders in these illegal immigrant communities. The chartered flight on which these 63 immigrants were placed arrived at Oliver Tambo Airport in Johannesburg on Sunday, the 1st of March. Speaking on the operation, the Irish Minister for Justice Jim O'Callaghan released a statement saying, "Charter flights are now a routine and essential part of remigration for the state. Without effective enforcement measures, our immigration laws would be undermined, and we would want to ensure that there is a public confidence in the application of our laws in this country." But the hard reality is that some of these passport holders aren't South Africans, or have never even been South African citizens. And what we are now seeing is that hardened criminals originating from anywhere in Africa, drug traffickers to rapists, are being deported from Ireland to our country. How did this happen? The Republic of Ireland has long been the single European country most accessible for South Africans. For many years, South African citizens, like citizens of Australia, Canada, New Zealand, or even the United States of America, did not need to apply for a visa for tourist or business visits lasting up to 90 days. That's 90. This is because Irish immigration law historically continued to value Commonwealth links to countries such as South Africa through a series of historical bilateral agreements with other English-speaking countries inside of the larger Anglosphere. And so, until July 2024, South Africans could just hop on a plane and go to Ireland with only their passports in their hand. But then everything changed. On the 10th of July 2024, the then Irish Minister of Justice, Helen McEntee, announced that South Africa and Botswana would no longer enjoy this visa-free status to travel to Ireland, aligning the country's immigration policy to the Schengen area in continental Europe, as well as the UK's visa policy, which regards South Africans as those that need to apply for a visa. All of this, of course, in an attempt to curb illegal immigration to Ireland, because the Irish authorities know that many of the people that went there was there on a South African passport issued by some corrupt official, but that person was not even South African to begin with. Since then, South Africans have had to apply for visas for any and all travel to Ireland. This shift has made moving to Ireland illegally from South Africa very difficult. When South Africans were visa-free, a person could simply buy the ticket, board the flight and arrive in Dublin, thereby proceeding to stay there illegally for as long as you can before you get caught, as had been the case with this almost 63 individuals that have now been deported. But with the changes, applicants submit documents, biometrics and background details to Irish authorities, who could then refuse entry before the person ever even boards a plane. This also complicated the process of forging fake South African passports that was such commonplace beforehand, since visa applicants are now faced on an extensive documentation verification process along with biometric matching before they can acquire their visa. And when it comes to South Africa, this last factor is quite important. In 2022, it was reported by the Department of Home Affairs that it had confiscated over 500 fraudulent passports issued to Bangladeshi, Pakistani and also Nigerian nationals. And now these fake passports form the heart of this new deportation and immigration headache the people of South Africa will now have to face. You see, a large number of the 63 illegal aliens that Ireland has now deported to South Africa have never even been South African. They are Nigerians and people from other parts of Africa who entered Ireland before 2024 with fake South African passports. Look at this example. Take the Oyekamni family, a Nigerian family who had entered Ireland in 2023 from South Africa with fake South African passports. The Oyekamni family is now being returned to South Africa, although they are not South Africans and have never been.
Came here for asylum because of the attack on myself and on my children. And then for Dublin to send us back to South Africa is going to cause a huge damage on myself and my children. So we are pleading for the community and the general island to please pardon us and allow us to stay.
When did you first come, Titi, to Ireland? When did you move here?
2023 October. I came here with my 3 boys. When we came to Ireland, we settled in completely. I started volunteering and my son, they engage in school and sports and they are doing very well.
Many on social media are now calling upon South Africa's Department of Home Affairs to investigate why citizens from all other African countries like the Oyekamni family from Nigeria are being deported to South Africa, and what the exact status of their residency is. Under recognized international practice, which Ireland consistently follows with their remigration practices, illegal immigrants are normally deported to their native country, barring exceptional circumstances where another country is willing to receive them, which is usually reserved for harsh criminals that will end up in prison in the country that was willing to receive them. Now, we sit with a situation where some of these illegal immigrants being deported from Ireland to South Africa are known to be Nigerians. Yet, we don't know who they are, how many of them there are, and more importantly, what they are doing and where they are going now that they are in South Africa on our soil. We also don't know how many of these illegal immigrants are still in Ireland with fake South African passports that will also just be dumped here in this country. A further source of concern is, of course, the fact that Irish authorities have confirmed that 10 of the 63 people that have been deported to South Africa have been convicted of drug trafficking and or sexual assault, even during their brief stay in Ireland for the last few years. That means individuals convicted of serious crimes abroad are now being dumped in South Africa, potentially without clarity on their citizenship status or residency rights here in this country.
Okay, so a couple of days ago, we had a discussion here about 42 South Africans being deported from Ireland to South Africa, Johannesburg. Talk about 42 and 62 South Africans, depending on where you read the things. And a lot of people were very happy, South Africans also get deported. South Africans also are refugees. Why are they mistreating people? They're also doing criminal activities in other countries. Because among the people were 2 people cited for crime. among the people deported from Ireland to Johannesburg. You know, I'm always going to bring you the news. You know, I'm always going to be unparalleledly unbiased. And I know it's very difficult, but if things are black, I'm going to say black. If they are actually white, I say they're white. So we got brand new news here, okay? So among the people deported from Ireland to Johannesburg were Nigerians, okay, identified as South Africans. That poses a problem, a big one, okay? As much as people are complaining, saying South Africans are not nice people, you got to look at things on different perspective, different lens. Now, I want to ask you a question. If you are Angolan and you hear that somebody in Bangkok is dealing with illegal stuff, and when arrested, he say he's Angolan, how do you feel about that? Okay, you are Namibian and you hear that somebody in Vietnam is selling drugs or being arrested for being illegal or overstays his visa, and he says claims to be Namibian. How do you feel about that? You get upset because you feel like that's your country, that's your reputation of your country being destroyed, right? So you're gonna be defensive for your country. Does it make sense or not? So do you understand why South Africans are not happy? But do you understand why one will be upset that you are actually among the majority or a good number of people that are being deported, and they put it on the realm of South Africa? Because it's not a good reputation for the country. Okay? So many years ago, we heard stories along the line saying that many foreigners go to countries such as South Africa and Namibia. They would marry a woman to try to get a visa. And after getting a visa, they will stay together for maybe 3 years at a time to get a passport. And once they got the passport from either Namibia or South Africa, what they would do is they would ask for a visa for countries such as Ireland, Britain, and Canada. Now, remember at the time, some of these countries did not require any visas. Very little hassle for South Africans and Namibians, I believe, and Uganda at the time. You understand why people are resentful? Can you see why people are not happy with you and they're asking you to leave the country? Because why don't you just go as an individual? Like, own up to who you are. Say, I am Nigerian. I've come here and I want to stay. Why do you need to go there as a South African? And once they want to deport you, you still claimed you South African. You dance and destroy the reputation of a country that does not belong to you. You do not belong to. Because when they say criminals from South Africa are deported to South Africa, they don't specify that those criminals were either born in a different country. And I'm not saying all the criminals cited here were all not South Africans. Why is there xenophobia in South Africa? There are multiple reasons. Okay, one of the reasons why there's xenophobia, people are tired. They're tired of what? Of lies? Not necessarily. They're tired of some of the facts. Some of the things are lies, some of the things are facts. Are there foreigners doing crime in South Africa? Absolutely. Are there lots of them doing crime? Absolutely. Do you see a country in your minds that would be happy to have foreigners coming to their lands and selling drugs? Is that a reason why you say crime is crime, anybody can do crime? Yes, perhaps you can say that in your country, not in other people's country. But you can't be standing saying, well, we've done these things for South Africa, but we helped you during apartheid, but we're there for you when we gave you passport, you couldn't travel. Absolutely, you are correct. You did all that stuff. But then, look, we are many years later. Things have changed. Somebody cannot be owing you things forever. I'm sorry. If you've done me good in the past, it doesn't mean everything I must accept now because you've done me good in the past. It makes no sense. I mean, the people were deported, okay, as per reports. I'm reading. I'm not giving you stuff that comes off my brain because I don't have the stuff in my brain. I'm reading and sharing with you. Ireland deported 42 South Africans in June 2026, citing illegal residence and criminal conviction. So these are people that overstayed their visas, and some of them were convicted criminals. Okay, among the people were 27 adults and 15 children traveling in family unit. Okay, now on a separate day, separate Nigerian family case, the Oyekanyi family, mother and 3 sons, were deported from Ireland to South Africa in February 2026. Now, when they got to South Africa and they were identified as non-South Africans. And within 72 hours, the South African authority transferred them to Nigeria. So from Ireland, claiming to be Nigeria. I mean, look, you have to be claiming to be South African for Ireland to send you to South Africa, right? You can't say I'm Nigerian and then Ireland send you to South Africa. It's not possible. It's because you show the South African passport. That's why they sent you back to South Africa, because South Africa has to issue you, the embassy has to issue a document that says, okay, send him back. So these people were potentially South Africans by paper, for real. But they went to claim asylum in another land. Now, when you claim asylum, you don't claim as a Nigerian, you claim as a South African. Now, when they got to South Africa, obviously, the South African government decided to send them back to Nigeria. And the Nigerian embassy issued travel documents for them to be deported. You know what I mean? This cost 735,000 euros, about $1 million, to deport 42 people. That's what it is, fellas. You need to own up. You know, you need to own up to the situation. Again, there were Nigerians among the people that were deported. Do we know how many Nigerians? We don't know that. They're not giving precision. Were they black South Africans? Well, they say they were black South Africans. How many of them? We don't know that. Were they white South Africans? They say they were white South Africans. But then they give precision. They say 2 of them. So now, it's not okay. It's not okay to use other people's identity to do crime. It's not okay. And this is not bashing any nation. It's not okay. God bless.